Today I made these amazing chicken wings. They were so easy to make and came together really quickly. So let me show you how I made them. So I'm using about 2.5 pounds of chicken wings here, and I'm just seasoning everything to taste. So I'm adding some salt, some pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and paprika, and I'm mixing everything with my clean hands. I didn't measure any of this, I really just eyeballed it, but I was sure not to put too much salt in the chicken wings because the sauce that I'm making on the side will also have some salt in it, so I didn't want it to be super salty. So I just seasoned everything and then mixed it really well. In the meantime, I was also preheating my air fryer. I preheated it at 390 degrees for about 2 minutes or so while I prepared the chicken wings here. So now that everything is very nice and seasoned, I'm going to take each chicken wing and coat it in some flour. So I'm using about a quarter cup of flour here, and I added some salt and pepper to the flour. And I'm just taking each wing and just tossing it in the flour and then placing it on this wire rack. My favorite way to make chicken wings is in the air fryer because they come out so nice and crispy and you don't have to turn on your oven. The only bad thing is that you do have to work in batches if you have a small air fryer like I do, but I think it's worth it. And once all of my wings were coated in flour, I started to load my air fryer. So again, I had preheated the air fryer at 390 degrees for about 4 or 5 minutes at this point, and I'm just going to add all of the chicken wings in a single layer, and I'm going to cook the wings at 390 degrees for about 7 minutes. And after 7 minutes, I'm going to open up my air fryer and turn everything over onto the other side and then cook it on this side for another 9 minutes. So typically I would do 7 minutes, but these wings were a little bit larger than usual, so I ended up doing about 9 minutes to make sure they were nice and crispy. In the meantime, I started to work on my sauce, so I diced 2 green onions, I minced about 5 garlic cloves, and I grated about 1 inch of ginger. And in the meantime, I'm going to make the rest of my sauce. So I'm going to be adding about 4 tablespoons of soy sauce into this measuring cup. I'm also using about 2 tablespoons of honey and 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. And to add some spiciness here, I'm adding this gochujang. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's this sauce that I bought recently. It's a newer ingredient to me, and I think it's so good. It reminds me of sriracha, but just more of like an intense flavor. So I added some of that, and then now I'm going to start putting everything together on the stove. So I have a pan here that I've been preheating at about a medium heat, and then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of butter and let that melt. As the butter is melting, I'm also going to start cooking the scallions and the grated ginger. I'm just adding it in here and I'm going to mix it around for a few seconds, not too long because I don't want it to burn. So after about 30 seconds or so, I am going to add my grated garlic. I'm sorry, my minced garlic. And I'm just moving that around until the garlic becomes fragrant. Again, this comes together really quickly, so this took about 10 to 15 seconds. And then at this point, I'm going to add the sauce. So I'm just going to pour the sauce into the pan and let everything come to a simmer. I also added a little bit of water into that measuring cup just to get the extra sauce that was still in there, and then also help to thin out some of this sauce. So I'm going to add that back into the pan and let this simmer for about 10 minutes and just stirring every now and then. At this point, I also tasted the sauce and I realized that I needed a little bit more soy sauce, so I added a little bit of soy sauce. I also added a little bit of honey, a little bit of rice vinegar, but the total amount of measurements that I used, I'll link in the description box below. And after about 10 minutes of simmering, this is what the sauce looks like. So it's the perfect consistency. It's what I was looking for. So now I'm just going to add the chicken wings. So here I'm adding the first batch of chicken wings that I made and then the second batch straight out of the air fryer. And I'm just going to toss everything together and get everything coated into that sauce. You can also do this in a bowl. I chose to do this on the stove because the pan has a better surface area to work with, and I don't have a bowl that would be big enough. But I'm just tossing everything together, and then I'm just going to finish this up by adding some sesame seeds on top and adding the scallion greens, and again just tossing everything together. And this is pretty much it. These came together so quickly, they were really easy to make, and probably one of the best wings that I have ever made. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.